In the male reproductive system, we have the penis that has three main functions: for urination, for sexuality and pleasure, and for reproduction and procreation. Then we have the testes that are the glands where the sperm and the testosterone are produced. Then we have the scrotum. The key function of the scrotum is to maintain the temperature of testes to almost 1 to 8 degrees. Then we have the vas defenders that also called ductus defenders. Their main function is to transport sperm from the epididymis to the ejaculatory ductus to the production of ejaculation. Then we have the epididymis. There is a long coiled tube that stores sperms and transports it from the testes. Then we have the vulvar gland that produces a mucus secretion which serves as lubrication during a sexual arousal. Then we have the urethra that is involved in dual functions that are the transfer of urine out of the body through the penile opening as well as the ejaculation of seminal fluid. Then we have the prostate gland that plays a very important role in male fertility. It is involved in the formation and development of sperms. It also produces much of the ejaculated liquid. Then we have the seminal vesicle that holds the liquid that mixes with sperms to form semen. Then in the male sternal genitalia, we have the penis that is the male organ used to have sexual intercourse, the scrotum that is the loose of push-like sac of skin that hangs behind and below the penis. Then we have the urethral orifice, is the opening or meatus of the urethra. It is the point where urine exceeds the urethra in male and females, and also the semen exceeds. Then we have the testicles that besides sperms, testicles also produce male hormones called androgens. The hypothalamus is part of the brain and functions as an integrating center that helps maintain homeostasis by regulating hunger, sleep, thirst, body temperature, and water balance. The hypothalamus also produces hormones and controls the pituitary gland by producing hypothalamic releasing hormones and hypothalamic inhibiting hormones. Then we have the pituitary gland that is an endocrine gland that can be divided into the posterior and anterior pituitary glands. Neurons in the hypothalamus called neurosecretory cells produce hormones, antidiuretic hormone, and oxytocin. Now I'm going to talk about the hormonal regulation in the male. The hormone that we have that is source of the hypothalamus is the GnRH that stimulates the anterior pituitary gland to secrete the gonotrophic hormones that control the testes. Then we have the hormone LH that its source is the anterior pituitary gland. It promotes the production of testosterone by the interstitial cells. Then we have the FSH that its source is the anterior pituitary gland and promotes the production of sperms in the seminiferous tubule. Then we have the estrogen that its source is the testes and it helps to the maturation of the sperms. Then we have the progesterone that its source is the testes and promotes the production of the testosterone.
Next, we have the female reproductive system. Each of the organs has its function. First, we have the uterus, that hollow chamber in which embryo develops. Then the ovary, site of storage and development of oocytes. Then the oviduct, duct for transporting oocyte from ovary to uterus, also site of fertilization if it occurs. Then the endometrium, receive and prepare for the fertilized ovum, and then help from the placenta. Then the cervix, lower part of the uterus that opens into the vagina. Then the fimbriae, catch ovum which ovulated. Finally, the vagina, organ of the sexual intercourse, produces lubricating fluids, also the birth canal.
Now it's time to talk about the genitals of the females. First, we have the mons pubis, works as protection pad during intercourse. Then, the glands of clitoris produces feelings of pleasure during sexual stimulation due to the abundant sensory nerve endings in glands. Then, the labium minora, four margins of vestibule, protects openings of vagina and utera. Urethral opening, passage for urine from bladder to the region near clitoris and vagina. And finally, the vaginal opening conveys uterine secretions to outside of body, receives erect penis during sexual intercourse, and provides open channel for offspring during birth process. The hormonal regulation of the female reproductive system is composed by several hormones. First, the GnRH, which serves as the hypothalamus and promotes secretion of FSH and LH, which have a positive feedback. Then we have the LH hormone. It's anterior pituitary and its function is the ovulation, maintaining of corpus luteum and stimulates testosterone secretion. These hormones have a positive feedback. Then the FSH, which have an anterior pituitary and growth of ovarian follicles, secretion of estrogens, sperm production is happening in this hormone. It have a positive feedback too. Then we have the estrogen, which stimulates the maturation and release of ova, target muscles, bones, and skin to develop female secondary sex characteristics. These hormones have negative feedback. And finally, the progesterone prepares the uterus for implantation of the embryo and maintains the pregnancy. This hormone also have a negative feedback. We are going to talk about the ovarian and uterine cycle. The ovarian cycle describes the development and release of the oocyte in the ovary and changes in the follicles. Usually occurs within 28 days. This cycle consists of the follicular phase and the luteal phase. Then the uterine cycle describes the preparation of the inner lining of the uterus for implantation by a fertilized egg and shedding of the lining when implantation is failed. Usually occurs within 28 days, and this cycle consists of menses, which means menstruation, the proliferative phase, and the secretory phase. The two cycles occur currently and are tightly regulated by hormones released from the endocrine system. The changes in the ovary are regulated by hormones released from the anterior pituitary gland, and the changes observed in the uterine cycle are regulated by hormones released from the ovary during the ovarian cycle. And almost to finish, we're going to talk about the birth control methods. First, the abstinence, that consists in not having any type of sexual intercourse or sex play with a partner. Abstinence is the only birth control method that is 100% effective. It's preventing pregnancy as well as sexually transmitted diseases. There are no side effects of health risks related to abstinence. Vasectomy, also called male sterilization, is a surgical procedure. A vasectomy is one of the most effective kinds of birth control out there, and the most effective method for people with penises and testicles. Vasectomies are almost 100 effective at preventing pregnancy. A vasectomy won't protect you or your partner from sexually transmitted infections. Semen can still carry STDs, even if it doesn't contain sperm. And for some STDs, all you need is skin to skin contact to get from someone. A potential concern with vasectomy is that you may later change your mind about wanting to father a child. Although it may be possible to reverse your vasectomy, there is no guarantee it will work. Tubal ligation surgery to close a woman's fallopian tubes. Tubal ligation is really great at preventing pregnancy, more than 99 effective. It doesn't protect you or your partner from STDs. Damage to the bowel, bladder, or major blood vessels will occur using these contraceptive implants. Is a tiny, thin rod about the size of a matchstick. The implant releases hormones into your body that prevent you from getting pregnant. The implant is one of the best birth control methods out there. It's more than 99 effective. That means fewer than 1 out of 100 women who use this. The implant doesn't protect against STDs. One of the risks of using this method is that changes in the vaginal bleeding patterns, including absence of menstruation. EUD. An EUD is a tiny device that inserts in your uterus to prevent pregnancy. It's long-term, reversible, and one of the most effective birth control methods out there. EUDs are one of the best birth control methods out there, more than 99% effective. That means fewer out of 100 women who use an EUD will get pregnant each year. IUDs don't protect against STDs. One of the risks is perforation, infection, and expulsion. The diaphragm. A diaphragm is a form of birth control that is a shallow cup shaped like a ladle. Here's the deal of diaphragm effectiveness. If you use your diaphragm perfectly every single time you have sex, it's 94% effective. But nobody's perfect, so in real life, diaphragms are about 88% effective out there. The most common side effect you could experience from using a diaphragm is vaginal irritation. The male condom. A condom is a fine barrier which is rolled onto a man's penis before sex. It is used as a barrier to stop sperm and infection passing between sexual partners. It is usually made of rubber. If you use condoms perfectly every single time you have sex, they are 98 effective at preventing pregnancy. Condoms are great at preventing both pregnancy and STDs. The female condom. The female condoms are an alternative to regular condoms. They provide pretty much the same great protection. If you use them perfectly every single time you have sex, female condom effectiveness is 95% effective. Coitus interruptus. The method of ejaculation outside the vagina, which is also known as coitus interruptus, is a form of protection against pregnancy in which semen contact with the vagina is prevented. The more you can practice this method correctly, that is, prevent the semen from coming into contact with the vulva and the vagina every time you have sex, the more effective it will be to avoid pregnancy. Of the 100 women who use the method of ejaculation outside the vagina correctly, 4 become pregnant. Ejaculating outside the vagina does not provide protection against the STDs. Commonly used name for a tablet that is taken after unprotected sex to prevent pregnancy. 95% effective if taken within 12 hours of unprotected sex. This method doesn't protect you from STDs.